All right, Big Bang. Today is Tuesday. It is November 22nd. Welcome to the Dog Walk, presented by Barstool Sports. It is Eddie and Chief. Chief, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be back in the office. Kind of get a lot done here before Thanksgiving, but I got one eye on that bird, on that turkey.
Yeah, we're here. We're here. This is it.
Yep.
We will have an episode tomorrow. It's kind of got to be a free form. There's going to be a bunch of us here. It's kind of like a nice little family Thanksgiving episode before we head out. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But today we're actually going to try something new. We're going to deviate from the usual Tuesday episode. We're just going to test something out. We might do this a lot. We might never do it again. But we're in the we like to try stuff. So
yeah, we're try stuff.
Yes,
guys.
exactly.
Yeah. So this is like a little breakdown of the world, like a little 5 minutes on a variety of subjects here.
Exactly. So the gist is, I don't know. We're not going to call it the Six. I believe that was like the Sports Center show. They did like the Six at the Six.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't know what the name of this is going to be, but it's going to be kind of like a rapid fire, not so much rapid fire, but we're going to try to spend 5 minutes on 6 different topics that have been very big in the news.
Prevalent in the news in the last week or so.
And this seemed like a good week to start because these 6 topics have kind of been burning it up lately.
Nonstop.
Yeah,
dominating the world. Yeah,
they have. So we're going to do that today. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Give us some feedback on Twitter, at Barstool Chief, at Eddie Barstool, and on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. We need to beef that up.
I'm on
as
both
well.
of those.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So do that. And we'll just hop right into it. Before we do, though, we do want to talk about our friends at Rowback. We love our friends at Rowback. We're wearing the hats right now. Peep that if you're on YouTube. Subscribe, please. Rowback Activewear, best fit, best feel. Now it's the holiday season. There isn't a better gift than Rowback. It's no secret. Rowback will be my go-to gift this holiday season, and it should be yours too. Their newly released performance joggers are incredible, functional, versatile, and comfortable. Rowback's performance hoodies are also the most comfortable hoodies out there. Nothing beats putting a Rowback hoodie on after waking up on a cold day in the Windy City.
They're great stuff. I've been waiting to get this Rowback stuff. The hat fits great. It's a great logo too. Like there's a lot goes into when you're buying like a new company, you're trying to get on board with the brand. You need a good logo. They got a great logo and the stuff fits great, feels great. Everyone looks good in it. Rowback's the best.
The 312 polo that they gave us is
fire.
Yeah. Pop that up in this video too, Harry, so that people could see that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Pop that up. Honestly, go give someone a gift for that. I promise you, they will win their best dressed or whatever they do for their golf competition this summer or wherever your golf outing is, where the boys' trip is this winter.
So I had that shirt and I had it with me. It was in my backpack. And my dad picked me up. We went to the Notre Dame game and I opened it up. He goes, "Oh, that's nice. Is that for me?" Because it was his birthday. I'm like, yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Like, here you go.
Good one.
Here you go, Dad. Here's your shirt.
It's a good one. So use code DOG when you go to rowback.com for 20% off all new customers. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all polos, Q-zips, hoodies, and joggers with code DOG. The best part is they'll be releasing new gear throughout the holiday season, and you're not going to want to miss out. So go get your holiday shopping done early and make sure to check them out at rowback.com. Easy as that. All right, so the first topic here will be the World Cup and everything that's going on in Qatar.
Yeah, it's been probably the most controversial World Cup I can remember. It's almost like they can't get out of their own way. It's almost like it's gotten to the point where I feel bad for like the citizens of Qatar, because the World Cup is historically used as like, we're going to put our best foot forward. And then the government and the officials are just like making that nearly impossible. Like I blogged it last week where you had a Danish news crew just where they're filming something like just your typical on the street type of show. Whack, golf cart pulls up, shut down, we're going to smash your camera. Then it's like the no beer bait and switch. It's like every single headline about the tournaments thus far has been negative. I was happy to see 2 things. One, there was widespread rumors that Qatar was going to pay off and pay Ecuador to throw the first game and lose 1-0. That did not happen. Ecuador won with ease 2-0 in that game. So it was like, all right, it's like a legitimate tournament. And the second thing was those English lads. Did you see those guys?
No, I didn't see that.
The English lads. They told this story, because fans come in from all over the world. They told this story. They were out on the street. And they're like, yeah, like we were trying to find a beer. We couldn't find any beers. We're out looking. We meet this guy who ended up being like a sheikh. and like a younger guy, but like a powerful person in Qatar. He goes, "Oh, I've got beers. Like, come back to my house." And they're like, "All right." So they have these group of English guys get in a car with these guys, and they're like, they drove us around, and we ended up at this palace. Okay, and there's great videos. It's been all over the internet, and they're having like the time of their life, partying with the sheikh back at his palace in Qatar. I mean, they got like pet lions, they got pet like exotic animals. It was like, all right, like if you're gonna be like this oil rich nation, where like your ordinary citizens, like they just supposedly, like if you're not working for the government and you live in and you're a Qatari national, like you're born there, you just don't even have a job because you don't need one, because it's just like everybody's just got money. Mm-hmm. So you get to like the elites of the society, and it's like, let's show these foreigners how we do it. And so it wasn't all negative headlines, and it was like, how do you do it? You just have, it's like the like in The Hangover, where they go over to Mike Tyson's house and he's got a fucking tiger. Yeah. And it just had like that kind of a vibe to it. So that was kind of fun to see. Mm-hmm. That would be like, if you spend all this money, you're going to Qatar, like there's nothing to do, and like the accommodations aren't great.
Yeah, but I guess you're crazy if you went, I think.
If you get in that car?
No, if you just went to Qatar in general.
Yeah, I have a friend who went.
Really?
So he's an English guy. He lives here. Shout out Chris. And he goes like all the time. And it's been kind of interesting because we have like this group chat of Nottingham Forest guys. And he'll be like, so someone will say something like, hey, did you see this? Like, English fans can't even get into the stadium. And he'd be like, yeah, he just had to refresh the app. I got in the stadium, no problem. And he like shows a picture of him. Like, this is this morning. We're recording this on Monday. So he went to the Iran-England game, which happened at 7 a.m. Central Time. He's like, yeah, like I got in, no problem. Then it was like, yeah, like, can't find a beer. It's like, it's actually kind of easy to find beers out and about in Qatar. He showed another picture of himself drinking a beer in Qatar. He did have a thing where,
okay,
yeah, he wasn't in like the suites where they have like all the beer, but he did show this one picture. He was having like one of those Bud Zeros, which is just like the alcohol-free Buds. Like they're still serving those in the stands. But he said, it's been. He makes it seem like a lot of the issues are a little overblown, at least from his experience so far. And he's, if I'm not mistaken, he went to the one in Russia and I know he went to the one in Brazil, and he said it was like to the World Cups, and I think he went to South Africa too. So he might have been to like the last 4 World Cups, and he follows England around, and he said that this has been largely
overblown.
Like at least maybe not quite on par, but not as bad as
people have been saying.
Yeah.
Well, it started. It was hot. 2 days before they moved the Budweiser tent, and then
Tough.
There was that picture that went viral that was actually fake with that Coke. That little Coke sleeve that was over an IPA.
Yeah.
And people are like, dude, don't do that. Do not go to jail.
In trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
because they don't fuck around either. Like they're, and there were other reports of like English guys were out at a bar, and there's they're at a restaurant with a lady who had a full hijab on. Mm-hmm. And they're like, take your, show your face for the lads. And they're like singing to her, like, there's the English guy hooligans. And then they like arrested them.
Oh, really?
For singing that, yeah. So, so it's like you have to be careful.
Yeah, you definitely do. So, that's good to hear that the experience has been a little better for your friend.
At least for Christian.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's definitely a situation to monitor, and I'm sure there's gonna be more that comes out, and it's very, very, very early still. So,
yeah, we got a month to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of a situation that's being monitored, it is Monday, and Twitter seems to still be alive. So, topic number 2 is about Elon Musk and the Twitter. I want to say not a renaissance, but kind of like a reincarnation with a lot of people right now. A lot of people are back from the dead.
Like on like accounts reactivated.
Yeah,
like the president.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, like Trump number 45.
He's back. I saw Andrew Tate's back on there.
Has not. Jordan Peterson's back. Kathy Griffith's back.
Really, is the more interesting thing was about how everyone thought about the servers. We're gonna go down because so many people quit. They said that the badges weren't working anymore. They shut down the offices. It was a whole ordeal.
It was, and he was, and I think probably justifiably paranoid about people that were employed, people that didn't like him, and wanted him basically, I think there's a lot of people that want to see him fail. And you see like this on the internet, like, oh, Elon Musk was an idiot. Elon Musk never actually did anything. Like it's like, that's just not true. Like, he has done a lot. And does he get too much credit for things? Probably at times. But he is like a very accomplished, richest man in the world. So now it's like Matt Taibbi. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
He wrote a really interesting article basically being like, we are, as a country, we've always burned witches. And it was like, going back to Salem, like the Salem witch trials, if like there wasn't a good harvest, well, whose fault was it? It's the guy who's running his mouth too much. And that has really intensified here in the last, basically he said since 2015 when Trump became on the national stage and got elected and was like everything he was saying was bad. And then Rogan went through this thing where everything he was saying was bad. And then it was Dave Chappelle, he was getting canceled. But it was basically if you're not in line, like we have a tendency as a culture to basically try to like burn witches. And now his hypothesis, whatever theory, whatever he's saying, is that now Elon has kind of stepped into that role as he's like the primary witch for people to kind of cast all their issues with society. If they need a person to kind of step up, they've kind of elected Elon, and now Elon's getting slings and arrows from everywhere. So it's an interesting take. But I also think that leads to so many things getting overblown, like all the servers are going to crash and Twitter's going to be deleted and they're losing 75% of their workforce. And I think they lost significant parts of their workforce, but last I checked, everything's still running like normal for me. So I'm sure there's going to be hiccups. It's a company that needs a lot of work. And I think he kind of enjoys the chaos. I think he wants to like see.
Well, he keeps tweeting as well that usage is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
And I believe he offered everyone like a 3-month severance. And
yeah.
Like,
or get on board or not. But if you're not, here's 3 months.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, you offer people 3 months off before a holiday. And if you're offering all these demands, of course you're going to rub some people the wrong way and they're like, hey, I'm fucking out of here. So,
yeah.
And like, hey, if a lot of people quit, at some point he's going to need to hire people back. Like, I bet you a lot of people go get those jobs back in February.
I wonder.
Guaranteed.
Maybe.
But Silicon Valley's kind of in a weird spot, I feel, right now.
That's what I mean. Like, the Facebook Meta just laid off 11,000 people. So if you're a guy who's like, I'm going to quit Twitter, I'm going to go somewhere, and I'm going to go over to wherever. Well, hey, buddy, I don't know if you look. Like, the economy fucking sucks right now, and a lot of these companies were bloated anyway. So I think the market might be a little bit more competitive than it was a year ago if you're just a guy trying to find another job.
Yeah, and he did tweet at Dave. He said, I'm not worried that all the important people are staying. So
there you go.
We'll see. I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think the servers are going to melt. So
yeah, I think we're probably fine.
Yeah, we'll see. Also, in the news on Sunday night, Disney announced that former CEO Bob Iger is coming back. He retired 2 years ago, semi-retired, I'll say.
Yeah.
And he's taking over again for Bob Chapek. Is that his name? Bob Chapek, I believe his name is? And two Bobs, sorry. And short tenure for him.
11 months.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds like people are through the roof happy about this move.
That has to be the best feeling in the world. Like
just like a hero's welcome back.
Yeah, and like you're like this iconic guy, like you did the book tour, you did the whole thing, he had been there for a while, and then you have this other guy come in, and within a year they're begging you to come back. You have to feel like fucking Maximus in Gladiator. Like you're coming back in through those Disney offices and ready to fight everybody and get this thing back on the rails. You know who else was really thrilled with that decision?
Who's that?
Wall Street. So the stock was at 91. I think it closed on Monday. It was up, I think, almost like 10%, up to like $99. So that's a pretty significant jump with just the news that, hey, the old guy, he's back. So I don't know. And it's I always wonder this about these different companies where everyone's always talked about like too big to fail, and these companies have to be bailed out. Obviously, Disney was never in that boat. Sometimes I do think that you have a situation where it's so big that it has to fail. Like you need it to almost be splintered. And then, did you know what Chapek's job was before.
I believe he was with the Parks.
It just reminded me of that
Succession,
Succession.
yes.
Where it's like you have
scams.
Wom scams. You have the biggest dink on the team. Like, let's throw this guy to the wolves. It's almost like, well, maybe Bob Iger just was like, yeah, let's pick him. Like he won't, and then he just is a disaster to the point that they're begging you to come back.
Well, I tweeted when it first happened. I was like, we got like a Leno Conan situation.
Yeah.
And immediately Jeff Delow was like, and immediately I saw that Disney people were going, they were nuts. They were so happy. And Jeff Delow was like, no, it's completely not about that. Jeff Delow runs a movie division here. And I was like, what's the biggest blunder? And he said, with the ScarJo, there's a big lawsuit with their contract. Yeah, so a lot of people were unhappy with that, and it seems like Chapek, there was a big nickel and diming situation going on with the Parks, and people were unhappy with the fast passes. And
it is like fucking expensive there too.
Well, it's crazy. I guess the experience has become, and listen, Disney diehards are one of those things where they're so in depth with everything. So I'm sure, talk to a Disney person about this more in depth about it. But it's become an experience where you got to live and die on your phone, where that's not what a park should be about.
No, you want to have your phone away.
Yeah.
Like I have we have 4 kids in my family, and we went a few times when I was like a little kid, like 7, 8, 9, something like that. Because I had grandparents that lived in Florida half the year too. So we'd go and stay with my grandparents, and then go over to see Disney. And then we went again when my brother was like 7. So I was like 17. And so I like have vivid memories of Disney. And it is one of those things where it's like, this is like, I never need to go again, but it's still like a cool thing as a kid. You get to see and you see a 7-year-old kid like light up about these different things. And it does feel like it's not that wholesome experience that it used to be. It also seems like it's much more. It used to be like, hey, like this is an affordable family vacation. And what you read now is that the prices for hotels, tickets, etc. Then it's like, well, you get a pass, but like, well, if you really want to enjoy it, you have to buy this other pass to cut the line. So it's like it's just not a good experience for the majority of the people that go now.
Yeah, but then you hear about the swapping of CEOs and how corporatized it is and how it's about appeasing shareholders. That doesn't sound to me like it's going to become more family friendly.
Yeah,
that just sounds like it's going to become more stringent on making money, right?
That seems to be always the case. Yeah, and it's like you wonder, like they've had so many major acquisitions, and Iger was a big part of that. Whether it was like the Star Wars deal, and they launched Disney Plus, and it's just, I wonder if it is like just such a behemoth now that it's like impossible to manage properly. Because they have like 7 different companies, like 7 different major companies under that umbrella. Like ESPN is still under that umbrella. Like it's just, how can you do everything well? It seems difficult to pull off.
And like I've said before, I've said this on the show, at what point is just like being steady okay? And it's just, I think that's, and I'm not a fucking business guy, but...
Well, yeah, but it's like they always want you to show growth.
Yes.
And so it's projections and growth. And, and again, like I might be speaking a little out of turn here, but, I feel like you used to hear a lot more about like, well, invest in that company because they pay a great dividend. And so you would get like 4 times a year, depending on how they did their dividends. A lot of companies would do it quarterly. You would get X amount per share. And it's like, if you're a shareholder, you're a revenue share. And I feel like a lot of companies have cut back on dividends, and they just want to see the stock price go up and the volume traded. Yeah. So people are getting in and out, as opposed to being like, no, I'm going to be in with this company for a long time because it's going to be steady, predictable, and I'm going to have some like revenue stream off of that.
Yeah,
so, and I don't know if that applies to Disney per se, but I do feel like that's a lot of how those companies are set up when they're traded on Wall Street is different than maybe it used to be.
We talked a lot about that in the Netflix episode, I feel. Mm-hmm. All right, before we get to our next topic, Chief, tell us about the farmer's dog.
Yeah, I'm glad these guys are back because I am one of those people who, my dog is pampered, okay? And one place where it's like, probably the most important thing is what you feed him. And feeding him that kibble, like anytime I do that, I feel a little bit guilty. And now with farmer's dog, I don't have to. You're going to have, it's real, fresh, healthy, human grade food with real whole meat and vegetables. So when you look at a normal bag of kibble, you'll see like, ooh, like that's a nice ribeye, and those are some nice sweet potatoes or salmon flying. But it's like you're really getting like even if you get like the higher end stuff, it's gonna have like the meal in it, and it's like it's just never going to be the good quality food that's going to be nutrition for your pet. So the meals arrive in pre-portioned, ready-to-serve packs, so you don't have to guess on exactly what to give your pet and when. And dog people are everywhere. They've ordered over 200 million meals from the Farmer's Dog, and it's one of those things where I feel zero guilt when I feed George at Farmer's Dog. It's the best. So make the switch to Farmer's Dog like I did. Get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/walk. Again, that promo code is WALK, plus get free shipping. So just go to farmersdog.com/walk to get 50% off that first box. That's farmersdog.com/walk.
Boom, go do it.
Yep.
This next story is an absolute tragedy. I've been following it pretty deep. It's out of Moscow, Idaho. At the University of Idaho, there was 4 college students on November 13th that were tragically murdered. Ethan Chapin, Madison Mojan, Zaina Kernodal, and Kaylee Gonzalez. On November 13th, right before noon, there was a call to 911 that one of the roommates was found unconscious. And when the police showed up, they found 4 of the roommates. There were 6 people who lived in the house, and 4 of them were stabbed to death. Yeah. Do you know much about this at all?
No, I mean, I know the guy's still at large, correct?
Yes. The person who did this is still at large, and it's crazy, man. Yeah. I've been really following this, like I said, and the way the house is kind of constructed, and you got to be really careful the way you kind of talk about this, and so I'm kind of really watching what I say. The Moscow police and the Idaho State Police and the FBI are obviously the most trusted sources of news, and they did a press conference on Sunday night that I watched, and that's what I'm kind of really trying to go off of here. But they did a press conference here of basically the construction of the house is like there's 2 bedrooms on each level. There's 3 levels, and the lower level there was 2 roommates, and they were sleeping and they were fine.
Oh.
Yes. And then the middle floor, those 2 were murdered. They didn't say which 2 were on each floor, and then the 3rd floor they were murdered.
Yeah.
So no one really knows the point of entry, but it's kind of like the bottom floor where the people were safe. It's like kind of pitched.
Okay.
So people are I don't want to presume.
Yeah, there's speculation
that like maybe they went through like the first floor, because it's kind of like that's where it's you kind of walk in from. There was like a glass sliding door or whatever, but there was a lot of speculation early because there was a Twitch stream that they were seen on like hours before kind of all this happened, and there was a person in a hoodie it was a food truck, and they were kind of lingering behind them.
Yeah. And
they quickly ruled out this guy who was kind of lurking behind him, which is good. A lot of people kind of like to speculate, and they kind of like to choose their own narrative and whatnot. So there's been kind of a lot of people like that. There was an Uber home or a private car service that took home. That person's been ruled out. So nobody kind of really knows what's going on, but the police are being vague, but I think there's a reason why.
Intentionally vague.
Yeah. That's the hunch I'm getting. Obviously, I don't know anything. But it's definitely something that's kind of rocking the Pacific Northwest right now.
Totally. Yeah.
It's a campus that's about University of Idaho, and then it's about 9 miles away from Pulliam, I believe it is.
Pullum, Washington State.
From Washington State.
Yep.
And it's right before Thanksgiving break, and the whole campus is in
disarray.
Yeah. Like everyone's scared. They're like, I would think a lot of people went home. They went remote. And it's just
you have a serial killer on the loose, like effectively, like,
and that's what they say. They don't know. They keep saying that it was a targeted attack.
Yeah.
And I don't. It's hard to really is it a target? They believe it was a target attack. That's what they keep saying. But we'll see what happens to know if it was a targeted attack or if if there really is a crazy person just doing this at random.
I hate to point this out, but if you stab 4 people, you're a crazy person.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, where it's like, I had heard that it was that they were like it seemed personal. Like they were going for that group or one of the 4, and it's got spun out of control. But it is
as opposed to a person like who
like the other guy from Pacific North, the most famous one
is Israel Keys.
No,
like
I mean they just did all the movies and shit about him. I'm just blanking on his name.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah, thanks. Like who would just kind of do this kind of stuff at random.
Yeah, where it's like, hey, can you help me get this? And like,
random
girl get
crime
this
of opportunity,
right? And
like just kind of camp out and see people doing this stuff.
I wonder, like, what do you do if you're the school? Like, because
they're just kind of giving, 24-hour surveillance. Like, there's walks where they're, there's just people. They're kind of unlimited resources. What they're saying is going on, but it's just. It's kind of all over the place, but it's definitely
horrible.
It's awful, man.
Yeah.
It's awful. And I'm just like, I just hope, and because it's frustrating because it's frustrating to see people frustrated with the with the people behind the case.
Yeah,
but like they have to be vague intentionally, and that's what I don't think people get.
Yeah,
but then you see other cases where it's like maybe something like the Delphi case. I don't know how familiar you are with that, the one that happened in Indiana, where maybe there was some missteps.
Yeah.
And that's why people do get frustrated. But it's like, hey, everything's different. You got to kind of.
And they said that they've conducted like 90 interviews. They've gone over like every piece of surveillance tape they could. Like, but it's almost like you don't want to. If you think the person might be in the area, you don't want them to become like maybe a flight risk or something like that.
Exactly.
It's like let's keep it vague. Let's make it seem like we're not zeroing in on somebody and then nab them.
Yeah. Exactly. So, so I hope I didn't do any over speculating or anything like that. Make sure you follow trusted news sources. I just wanted to kind of bring some light to that and kind of talk about it because I've been following it pretty closely.
Yeah.
The next topic here, we're going to talk about the whole Taylor Swift Ticketmaster snafu.
Disaster. And shout out Kelly Keegs, Kelly Keegs has been on the front line of this thing. She's so great at those like video rants, and so she was cracking me up. But yeah, this to me is just like more. I'm getting very anti like corporate bullshit, and this reeks of corporate bullshit where you have basically Live Nation puts on all the artists like outsource everything that goes into a concert to Live Nation, and then Live Nation, the same parent company, owns Live Nation and Ticketmaster, so everything is vertically integrated, and everybody that they can just basically do whatever the fuck they want. They can do side deals with Capital One, or American Express has obviously had deals like that before too, where it's like, oh, if you're a Capital One holder, you have a pre-sale, and it just turned out that the pre-sale was the only sale. So if you didn't have like these means to go get tickets, if you're just like a regular fan like Kelly or somebody else, like you're just going to get shut out. And then they, fucking Ticketmaster, like they have all of these fees baked in always. Like I've always been annoyed with that. Like what the fuck is a convenience fee? How are you convenient? How is this convenient for me? It's not convenient at all. You're just charging me money to be able to use a ticket on my phone, which you should be discounting that because now you don't have to physically print the ticket.
Yeah.
Like it's all bullshit, and like those convenience fees, they can kind of just charge whatever they want. And ultimately they can charge whatever they want because they're a monopoly. They're the only ticket game in town. They've been around for 20 years. Like we're supposed to have, like there's laws on the books. It's called antitrust to prevent things like this from happening. And it's just like, well, everybody looks the other way. Everybody looks the other way. And, and it's like, you can't put on, it's almost like the only alternative, because a lot of times artists like won't fuck with Ticketmaster or Live Nation because it's like, they also have a monopoly on the extra dates available at other venues. So it's like if you talk shit about them, like, well, hey, guess what? The United Center's off limits to you. Okay. Or Wrigley, whatever it is, those venues are now off limits. So now like you can't tour in that city theoretically. So they have everybody by the balls to the point where Taylor Swift, and it's the Swifties, like you don't want to piss off the Swifties.
Fuck no.
She went through and she had a pretty good tweet about how sorry she is and how much she values her fans and like why she's taken so much of the process in-house, but this is like a place where she's stuck. But she never went and said like, fuck Ticketmaster.
Well, because from what I've seen, it is a monopoly.
Yep.
But I believe there may be one other option, maybe like
Yeah.
so she did have a little bit of a choice. Maybe, I don't know completely. Kind of, but
Yeah.
it is largely a monopoly.
It
Largely a monopoly.
It's a monopoly.
Yes.
And like we said, like I'm trying to remember the last time a monopoly was really broken up in my lifetime. And I think it might have been when I was very little, like AT&T. And if you watch like movies from like when Harry Met Sally or like late 80s, early 90s movies, it was like, well, you can't call them. It's long distance. Okay.
Yeah.
It's long distance. As soon as they broke up AT&T, no one said shit about long distance ever again, because you had MCI and all these other telecommunications companies competing, and it's like you kind of see this thing where things explode out and then everybody gets gobbled up and comes in until eventually there's like one, and there's like that great there's a great like graph that is like every single product that you will buy or eat, like food products or like shampoos and shit, like everything like that everything that you would find in the grocery store basically is really just 6 companies. Okay. So this is like a problem in the United States, I think, where we have these antitrust things on the books, but it's not enforced.
I did see someone was going to bring it to antitrust.
Well, the Department of Justice is looking into it right now.
I did see that. And that's,
yeah.
Whoever's bringing it up, he's like licking his chops. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait to get the Swifties on my side." Like this is like white knight culture to the fucking extreme right now.
Yeah, the only guy that I've
wait.
seen like go after Ticketmaster by name is Zach Bryan.
Well, I think Pearl Jam went after
Pearl Jam has been doing it for a long time, but they haven't been able to win.
Yeah.
And but Zach Bryan had the hashtag "All my homies hate Ticketmaster," and then he was just retweeting everybody that said that. So
I don't know what you're gonna do. I get your monocle out. It's a fucking monopoly.
Yeah, it is. And
Mandela effect.
Yeah, and that goes back like I think it was Standard Oil like that, and U.S. Steel and all these companies that like 100 years ago broke up, and then it splintered. Like dust in the wind, they splinter all these companies across, and it was like that was ultimately really good for the American people.
Yeah.
So it might be time to look at a whole bunch of different industries and see if they can do that again.
Yeah, man, you're right. Last topic here is going to be semi-Chicago related, I guess. It looks like there really is a lot of fire to the smoke about Larsa Pippen and Marcus Jordan.
It's, anybody who watched The Last Dance, they would see them together as Marcus Jordan as like this 9-year-old kid in the friends and family section with Scottie Pippen's then wife, Larsa Pippen, and now they're fucking dating.
Yeah. And they got heckled at the Chargers game. And I talked about this on the rundown yesterday. And Scottie Pippen Jr., he's got to have it the roughest. And he's had a good outlook on it. He's like, hey, man, like, whatever. I'm just playing basketball. Like,
yeah,
it sucks. Like, I wish you didn't. But, like, hey, I got to do what I got to do. But the look on Marcus Jordan's face, like, he just laughed. Like, he knows. Like, he's like, yeah, it's just crazy. But you can't blame the guy. Like, that's kind of like what it's kind of like.
Dude.
That's kind of like your teacher in a way, right?
I suppose that's a good way to look at it. And I've had this conversation with people around our office where I have exes that I don't think I would give 2 shits if one of my friends started dating her. And it depends on when the relationship was and who the ex is and all that. But by and large, I don't think I would care. I'm not on like bad terms with them. It just didn't work out for you and I. If it was like my fucking nephew 20 years later, I think I'd be like, dude, like come on. Like you can't. I'm sorry, you can't.
Yeah.
And I'm a guy who plays it not necessarily fast and loose, but like me personally, I just don't really care, I guess. Like once I decide like or whoever decides like this relationship isn't working, go find your own happiness. And if it's with somebody I know, I don't give a shit. I think if I were Scotty, this would really fucking bother me. It would bother me a lot.
Yeah. I mean, this is like Scotty's whole point. Like he's like, man, I just like never get any respect. Like, I'm kind of thinking, am I, like, starting to fucking understand Scotty's point here a little bit. Even though Scotty's...
What do you think MJ's responsibility is in this?
At some, like, Scotty made his bed in many ways. Like, being from Chicago, like, a lot of people might be like, well, what do you mean by that? It's like, you know, like, just hearing the stories and how, like, Scotty... Like, just trust me when I say, like, Scotty...
He's a guy who
Scotty did himself no favors.
He didn't get it.
Yeah. Like, he just never... He never got it.
But I do think there is, and like him and Jordan have had a few... Michael Jordan have had a feud going for years now.
Yeah, I don't even think they, like, really hate each other. I just think there's just always, like, a little, like...
See, I think things kind of got real sour after The Last Dance.
Yeah, in his book, like, he was...
Yeah.
I believe he said as much as, like, yeah, I just wish it was more about the team and less about, like, Mike. But, like, I don't know. They talked a lot about the team, I thought. There was
I thought so,
a lot
too.
of features on Krause, a lot on Dennis, like... But I don't know.
Kerr, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know, so, yeah. But I kind of think Michael, at this point, has to be like, young fella, find a girl your own age. And we had Marcus. You had Marcus on Dog Walk, right?
Oh, Jeff.
Oh,
Jeffrey.
yeah, Jeffrey Jordan.
Jeffrey,
Okay.
he was on Redline.
Okay. Well, and he was very impressive. He was
awesome guy.
Awesome guy.
Yeah.
And Marcus, I'm sure, you know, would maybe similar to his brother, where you have some job, you're doing well for yourself, you're, you know, the heir to an empire. Find a different girl. You don't have to be.
Maybe she's the one.
I'm gonna go ahead and bet money that she's not.
Maybe she's the one.
I do feel bad for, like, she just. I mean, maybe that's why Junior is so used to, like, he's unfazed largely because he's so used to his mom being in all these high profile
Can't help
relationships.
love. Hannah's running our clock right now. What if she fell in love with feet sniffing Garrett? Like, that would, you know, you can't help love. You can't help love.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I wish I could bring up a story in this room right now, if you allowed me.
Sure, but maybe we'll cut it.
No, I'm going to ask for permission because this would be a great topic.
Just say it. And if we have to, if it's like.
I don't want to do that because
Okay.
it would also be a great story to bring up for our nice Thanksgiving episode that we're going to run
All
tomorrow. Because that's the plan. I'm going to try.
Oh, I know what your story is.
Yes. Can we please talk about it?
You want to save it for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. But we have to leave names out.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Whew, that's a great one.
Yeah.
It involves White Sox Dave. And it's kind of in the same vein.
Yeah, I knew right then that relationship was over.
This is good. That's a great tease.
Yeah.
That's an unbelievable tease. So,
Yep.
yeah, we're going to try to do that for tomorrow. Boys.
I don't know if we can. We'll have to talk about how we talk about it.
All right, fine.
Yeah. For the other people involved, not for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I think it's going to be myself, Chief, White Sox Dave, Hannah, Danny, Harry behind the glass. Just chopping it up tomorrow before we head into Thanksgiving. But yeah, that was it. This is the this is the news rundown. I don't know what we're going to call this. We'll figure out a name if we do it ever again. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I think it went okay.
I liked it. Yeah,
it was cool.
Yeah.
Maybe the format works. Maybe it doesn't work.
Maybe it could have a tweak.
Yeah, maybe it could tweak it. We'll figure it out as we go. But we're certainly not afraid to try things in this show. So, yeah. Also, we should say Black Friday merch. Awesome Travis Matthew hat.
Yep.
Go check that out.
Those fit great, by
Chicago.
the way.
Yeah, this comes out. Be 20% off Black Friday through Cyber Monday. This fucking hoodie's sick. Chicago cursive.
Super warm. It's like I have bad windows in my house. I just throw that on right when I'm on the couch. It feels great. That
Also
one too.
Chicago Golf.
It's a great logo.
So much more.
Yep.
So much more. Go check it out. Please go buy our merch. Go buy some Roback as well. And yeah, that's it for today, everybody.
Buy the
Thank
Rollback
you.
Chicago merch.
Yeah, buy the Rollback
There
Chicago
you go.
merch.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, and make sure you use promo code DOG. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for watching. And yeah, let us know if you like this new idea for a show. And listen to the episode tomorrow. See you guys.